Amazing. Well, welcome everyone to the Business Women Australia, Torrens University Australia Q&A session for our scholarship. What do you call it? Our scholarship. God, it's too late.
Winners?
Yeah, our 100% scholarship applications for 2021. How's that one?
I was looking for the word campaign. It just didn't come to me. So welcome everyone. We're obviously recording this, so we'll be sending this out to whoever couldn't make it. But I would love to welcome our guest, Kathryn Dixon, who's a member of BWA and is interested to hear more about the scholarship. Jessica Pankiw from Torrens University Australia, Kylie, Clarke and Linda, who both took advantage of this amazing campaign last year, and Kylie was awarded the 100% scholarship and Linda the 15% scholarship, and they are going to talk more about their experience with both Torrens University and Business Women Australia as well. So we'll make this relatively informal, but of course we also want to hear from everyone. So what I'd love to do is just go around the room, and for you, Kathryn, to have the benefit of everyone just do a very quick intro, and then we get Jess to talk more about Torrens University and the course structure, and also the scholarship that we're obviously offering through BWA again this year. Linda, if I can start with you, just a quick intro from yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Linda. I have two things that I'm doing at the moment, or actually, no, make it three. I'm doing the study with Torrens University. I'm working part-time with the Field Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm also working side hustle on my consultancy business.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. Need to learn more about that side hustle. Great. Thanks so much, Linda. And Kylie?
Yeah, so hi, Kathryn. I'm Kylie Clarke, and so I'm one of the co-directors of event management and event tech startup Evise. So we've been in business just over 2 years now, and I obviously work, breathe, live the business full time, and also studying an MBA as well, being the 100% scholarship recipient for 2020.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And just quick intro from you, and then if you want to give us a bit of an overview of who Torrens is, why Torrens, and maybe a little bit about the scholarship as well.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Kathryn, my name's Jess Pankiw. I'm our National Pathways and Partnerships Manager here at Torrens, and I manage our relationship with Business Women Australia. So that means that any campaigns we run with Business Women Australia, or anyone who's potentially interested in studying, you have that one-on-one experience with myself. So I'm here to guide you through the whole entire process. Right from now, if you're just thinking about, what university is, what your course looks like, right through to if you do decide to go through that application, Jess and I will be here to support you, to coach you through the scholarship application, and then I'll work with you on the Torrens side of things as well, and through your subject selections and things like that, and then ongoing support as well. So essentially at Torrens University, we're Australia's newest and fastest growing university. So we are a private institution, which does make us a little bit different to a traditional university. What we really pride ourselves on is being a really hands-on university and being really industry driven. So that's another reason why we have partners like BWA, is to make sure that every single day we're going out and we're connecting with industry, we're understanding, what do you want to learn, but also what's the industry looking for in a graduate? So what are the skills that are required for someone to become job ready, or to really push them through in their career and take that next step and ensure that we're actually delivering those skills. So not just learning theory and learning from a textbook, but actually being able to implement those skills in your day-to-day work, and I guess just really push yourself through to that next challenge. So that's, I guess, a little bit about us. We also offer really flexible options as well. So you really get to choose how you want to study, when you want to study. So that comes from how many subjects you want to take on in a trimester, because we work on trimester basis, right through to, do you want to learn face-to-face? Do you want to learn online? Obviously, that does depend on where you're based in Australia as well. We're national, just to give you an idea. Are you based over in Perth, Kathryn?
No, Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So we do have a campus down in Melbourne, so Flinders Street. And we've also got campuses in Adelaide, Brisbane and Sydney, and then completely offered online as well. So what COVID taught us is that online learning is definitely a possibility. We're very fortunate that we offered a really strong online platform before COVID hit. We had around 60 to 65% of our subjects already offered online. And then just before COVID hit, we went, okay, something's happening. We need to change, and we really need to make sure we're keeping up with the times. And we transitioned the remaining 40% of our classes to online as well. So there's no compromise between studying online versus studying on campus. I'll let Kylie and Linda talk about their experience as well, because I think it's always nicer to hear it firsthand from people who are studying. But all of our online courses go through the exact same accreditation process as what our face-to-face classes do. We still offer a live online class through those courses as well, to make sure that you really are interacting with your lecturers, with your classmates, that you're not sort of just left to your own devices and it's a, hey, here's your content. You've got 12 weeks to complete all of this. We'll see you when, this trimester's over. Yeah. So I think that's something that's really important to know, because I think that it's definitely changing, but there is still a stigma around online learning and, how credible it is. So yeah, I'd just love to give you full confidence that, we've definitely approached that and are aware of it and have made sure that it is all at the exact same standard.
Cool. Amazing. Thanks, Jess.
That's a little bit about us and about our partnership. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And there's obviously details, Kathryn, and for everyone who is going to watch the recording, about the actual application for the scholarship. But there is 100% scholarship that counts for every course at Torrens University, but it's for an intake end of this month. Do you call it the June intake, Jess?
Yeah, 31st of May, the intake begins. So essentially June. So that's what the 100% scholarship is applicable to. And yes, there'll be 100% scholarship, and then anyone who does apply for that 100% scholarship and is not successful, will automatically award you with a 15% scholarship as well. Yeah.
And the application process is quite straightforward, but we're always happy to help. We gave people a bit of a hand last year, and it was more logistics, of course, rather than content. But it is, applying in a way to give us a sense of, who you are, how studying will help you. It's about the story. It's about the purpose. It's about, you as a student, and then also a future, or for you to be a current member of BWA, because it, works together. So it's a bit of a narrative, but it's not much. And it's also a short video, because that gives us a bit of an insight. And there's 6 judges from Businesswomen Australia and Torrens University. And it actually takes us about 2 weeks to decide, because there's a whole criteria catalogue we go through. So we take this really seriously. And then, award one person 100%. The applications close 7th of May, and the announcement is on the 21st. I would love to hear from Linda and Kylie. And Kylie, we'll go first with you. How was the application process for you, and then follow up with a question, how studying for you at Torrens, and being a member of BWA. So 3 questions, but we'll start with the first one. How was the application process for you last year?
Yeah, so I think for the application process for me, the one thing that I did was first kind of unpack what you were asking through the application, and really understood saying, well, what, it's one thing to read and say, oh, this is what I need to do, but it's like, what do they really want me to do? What do they really want to get out of, whatever I submit as part of my application? And one thing I very much identified, because I think the question's a little bit different this year than what was last year, was that basically saying, why do I want to study, and what does, you know, having this opportunity to be awarded the scholarship, what will that provide me? But very much also like, what can I give back? And by way of giving back to the BWA community as well as to TUA as well. And I think it's very much saying, well, getting this scholarship is going to help me do ABC, but it's like, but then once I achieve ABC, how do I give back? And to the two institutions, but then how do I give back to the community? How do I give back to women? And once I kind of then knew what I wanted to say, then I was like, how do I now really articulate how I want to say this and be really succinct and genuine in my application? And so what I did, Kathryn, was I actually went out to a pitch coach who I'd actually previously met, who I didn't even know at the time I would need to use. And I became quite fast friends with her. And then I reached out to her and said, look, I'm applying for this scholarship application, and this is what it's all about, and this is what it means to me. And so we ended up setting up a bit of a program, like a really intense program. So it was over 4 weeks. We would meet twice a week. And basically she would get me to talk to her, and then she would literally stop me and say, that's a piece of like that there, what you said is really the essence of who you are and why you want this scholarship. And then so we started to tease out all of this information, and then I would draft my pitch, and then the next time we would meet, I would deliver my pitch, and then we would workshop it, and I'd go back and forth and back and forth. And so yeah, it was this very intense 4 week. By the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty exhausted. But it was amazing, because if anything, even if I wasn't successful in the application for the scholarship, I learned so much about who I am and what I really wanted from a business perspective and from an educational perspective. And so I said to her, if nothing comes out of this, just this process alone has been amazing. And then because of the industry I work in event management, I then went, okay, well, I have this amazing pitch. I don't think filming it myself on Zoom or, you know, with my phone is going to do it justice. So I reached out to one of my contacts in the industry and explained, and we do work together. And then he said, well, I'm actually setting up a studio for a client, and I need a guinea pig to do all the lighting and sound check and everything. And if you come in and are happy to be my guinea pig for 2 hours, I'll actually record your pitch for you. And so that's how it ended up with that particular kind of final piece in the end. So that was the application. So yeah, with BWA in it. Oh, sorry, no, you wanted to know first of all about the actual studying. So
Yes.
yeah, so with studying, it's been, amazing. And as Jess said, like, I can absolutely attest to the fact that online study, you get as good, if not perhaps maybe even a better education online, purely because you have access and you're kind of surrounded by colleagues that you may never have studied with otherwise if you were to be on campus. So, you know, for studying the MBA, there's a lot of international students, which may, and because of COVID and you know, maybe like restraints with traveling internationally as well, you wouldn't necessarily be able to hear their points of view or really understand like cultural and historical differences when, you know, you're discussing certain things in class. And I make sure I attend all my live lectures as well. So I make it a point to say, pretend as if I actually physically needed to go to a class. So I make sure I watch all of them live, participate in all the live discussions. And I also schedule my classes for after hours as well, which is really great. And everything I've studied so far has been kind of like 6:30 onwards, which has been fantastic. And yeah, I've had a really great experience, and just being dedicated. And I think that's the thing too. I have lots of good intentions, but sometimes I can be a bit like, whoa, with everything. But studying it and running the business has made me go, okay, I need to be very, very kind of vigilant with my use of time, and where am I putting my attention to, and what are my priorities, and what do I need to meet. So outside of actually learning the course curricula, there's been so many of these other amazing life skills which I think I've had but have really helped me fine tune that. So that's been my experience so far. with studying with TUA. And then BWA itself, like I have a massive lady crush on Lynn. Like she's just, yeah. And then having met her in person last week at Cheese and Chats in Sydney, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like everything I've seen online is just, yeah, it's epitomized in person. So
you turn it into this little tiny human dynamo.
Yes,
Is the
yes,
way
I
I
didn't
describe
realize
it.
that she was so little and petite. And it was so, yeah, it was.
I'm 5'10", so I could just imagine.
Yeah. So, and
I feel very big around Lynn.
Yeah, well, me too. I'm quite tall, and I usually wear heels all the time. I feel like I'm a giant clumping around some people, but yeah, and so really I kind of stumbled across BWA by accident because, you know, during COVID and especially in the events industry, everything was very fragmented, and, you know, we were all then working in isolation and obviously not going out very much. And I was looking for a group that I could get together with and say, you know, how are you coping running a small business, and what are your, like, you know, kind of pain points and the pearls and pitfalls. And then that's how I came across Lynn's Friday Free Fall, and I joined. And I think the very first event I went to, Lynn got her little cards out. I don't know if you've ever been to one of her Friday Free Falls where she has her, you know what I'm talking about, Jess, her little deck of cards, which is just like, it's meant to be like an icebreaker. And then she'll just ask you a question. But the one thing that I really loved was that nobody went real kind of like peripheral, kind of everyone like dug deep.
Yeah,
And I'm so all about that. I'm like, what's your name? Tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. So yeah, I loved the fact that everyone was just so open and everyone was really vulnerable straight off the bat. And then that made it a very safe space for other people to be very vulnerable and really kind of be authentic. And the authenticity is what shone through for me from the very beginning. And I was hooked. And then that combined with Lynn and then just everyone being so beautiful, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to join. And then that's when I found out about the scholarship. And then I guess, yeah, the rest is really history.
Amazing. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's just wonderful to hear, you know, what the whole process of like first, you know, meeting and then, you know, the application. And it's interesting, Kylie, the fact, you know, when you talk about, you know, even if it didn't come to anything, the process of going through the application already meant so much to me, already meant so much to you, and you learned so much. I had that feedback from so many of the applicants. Yeah, they're like, well, if anything, you know, this was a great process. But of course, we also have a number of, you know, students who enrolled with Torrens. And I love in particular the fact that you get a success coach. Of course, being in leadership, I know what it means, but I think that's such a game changer. Because Kathryn, you know, I've worked with many, many universities in, you know, in the consulting arena before, and I've never, you know, experienced a university who, you know, give you a success coach. Doesn't matter if you do a diploma or an MBA. So
yeah,
just another, you know, another way of where Torrens understands how to actually be progressive. Yeah, Melbourne Uni said, I don't want to badmouth anyone, but, you know, they're like, we're really progressive. I'm like, yeah, you're not.
Very much a differentiator by the sound of it. Yeah,
no, it's amazing. Linda, what about you? If you want to share, you know, like how studying is and Torrens University, and also, you know, the application process and BWA.
Yeah, well, look, hats off to Kylie, because inspiration, really. I was listening to a story, I'm thinking, I did none of that. I did, my preparation was a little bit more, sort of a little bit more relaxed than Kylie's, a different approach, because when I got introduced to BWA, I was I'd left my previous business, I'd left my previous company and I wanted to run my own business. So I came across Business Women's Australia, and a couple of the ladies in the room, I met Lynn and I met Kathy, and I also met a couple of other ladies that work with BWA, and they were really warm and welcoming. And they introduced me to Jess, basically through the application process on BWA. So it was an invitation to submit a online video submission for Torrens University to get the scholarship. Now, I've never been to university. I'm 42. I finished year 11 and I was under the impression that I didn't have the nous to do it, and I was a bit apprehensive. So when they actually asked me to do this submission, I was like, oh no, I'm not good enough. And they're like, just do it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got online and I saw Jess, and Jess was the only one there, like you, Kathryn, the only person that was at this meeting. And I listened to what they sort of said. They said, look, it's easy. You just have to tell us why you want to do it, and you know, what's your aspirations for the future. And I pretty much put it all in the video. I have found from starting the university that I'm getting a lot better at business skills, learning about the environment. My first unit was the business environment, going into the next one, which was business communication, and currently this week learning on presentation. So this is a fairly new thing for me. I enjoy working with the other students online. There is that multicultural thing going on, which is one of my teachers at the beginning had actually said to me, it's you've just got to get used to this, because this is what Australia is. We're multicultural. And it's funny because I thought, sort of took a step back and went, yeah, you're right, they are all multicultural. And there was a couple of students online that I couldn't quite understand, and I said, look, would you mind repeating it for us? And they would apologize, and I'm like, don't apologize. I said, I'm the one who should be apologising. I don't quite understand. So we communicated really well online. That flexibility too, doing online studies has been really helpful for me. Having the success coach has been a really good, especially when you're I suppose I shouldn't say that old, but when you're getting to a certain age, you kind of feel a little bit lost. I didn't know what Blackboard was. I didn't know what lecturers really were. I thought they were, you know, teachers. There was all this different lingo, and I wasn't really familiar with anything. But I did have Jess there, and Jessica Pankiw has been my go-to person when I'm feeling a little bit frustrated, and not finding out what's, you know, where to go and what to do. And she would just be like, "Yep, just sort it out. This is what you do. These are the places where you go. These are the people you see." And she was really helpful, and my lecturers have actually been really helpful too, because sometimes at the beginning of a course the times weren't right because they were Perth times in comparison to Eastern States time. So I had to have a conversation with, okay, can I change my times because of Perth? And they were very accommodating. So for someone that's never done uni before, coming into Torrens University has actually been fairly easy, if I must say. I've got two friends that are actually in another university doing full-time study, and I'm just doing part-time. And I've been telling her about Torrens University, telling them actually about Torrens University, and I said, well, in comparison to your uni, how does that fit? Does it seem better than your one? And they're like, yeah, well, it seems pretty good. You're doing, you've got a couple of lecturers. We've only got one lecturer. You've got a lot more flexibility, and you've got your success coach. And they didn't have this at their university, so I'm pretty happy that I've made the right decision going to Torrens. And yeah, I've only got a few more subjects to do, and then I finished my postgraduate, and then I'm going to go into my diploma and then off into my master's.
Cool.
So I'm doing an MBA.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask that question. Yeah.
So I'm doing an MBA. Sorry, I should have really explained that from the beginning. So.
And there's someone who said, oh, I don't think I'll qualify to be applied for, you know, a scholarship because, you know, I don't have an undergrad, right? And we had this conversation about a year ago, and then you know, now she's on the way to getting an MBA. So amazing, great.
And I was just going to say, sorry to jump in, just I think that's a really great thing, is that you've always promoted, even if you don't have any experience. So similar to you, Linda, I've never studied at university before either, so I was very much jumping into the deep end. And I think the fact that you went like, oh, this is, you know, postgrad only applications, and you're really supporting women who have all these years experience and are running their own businesses and doing the doing, but they're like, why am I doing the doing, you know? And you're giving us that opportunity to learn the why. I think it's just such a fabulous program. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Yeah.
No problem. And Linda, how involved are you with BWA? Because you were a member before as well, right?
Yeah. No, like I go as many times as I possibly can. They're basically based in Mandurah, where I am, and I think in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to the Sundowner in Perth. So I'm trying to venture outside of the Peel region so I can meet up with other business women. But I suppose where my work lies with the Peel Chamber that I'm currently working with at the moment, and it's in the Peel region. But as my business evolves, I'll be looking externally. So I need to grow that network outside of the region, and BWA offers that platform to network, and especially when you know people already, it makes it a lot easier when you're with that group and that support group.
Amazing. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. I think, Jess, as you said, it's so great to hear from, women who have been, successful in their application and are now, in the middle of studying, because we can tell, everyone all day long how great BWA and Torrens University Australia is, but it's great to hear from, two amazing women who've done it. So thank you so much. Kathryn, what would be your questions for either the university? I mean, I'm sure you don't have that many questions about BWA, but...
I don't have a lot of questions about BWA. So I guess for me, it's just been interesting hearing you. I mean, I haven't made a call on whether I apply for this or not. I have a degree, I have beyond a degree, but just not the second degree. I'm at the latter end of my working career, but there's an element of going, I've always sort of thought I'd like to do an MBA or some postgraduate business study, and this is an opportunity to look at that. So today is as much as anything, it's really late in the piece, but hey, I've been really busy of late. It's just one of those things. So it certainly would not be a 4-week effort to get this all together. It would be more like yours, Linda. It's more.
I think Kylie was the only one who had like a coach and didn't. We're like,
oh, she's the only one. Okay, I was feeling.
Hey, hang on a minute. She won. Okay.
I'll just check out of the conversation now. So yeah, for me, it's I probably need to give some thought to it. The other part of it is I need to work out whether it can fit into my daily work. Now things are changing as the way things have. I work in a corporate. So I don't know, Linda, if you know Belinda Van Noel from Shadforth.
No, I don't. No.
Okay. So I have an association with Shadforth Financial Group. So I now work for the parent company IOOF. So I'm in corporate land, which is quite a different place to be. And so there's a whole lot of variables to include in this. But yeah. It's been very helpful, thank you, just listening to that. The one thing I would like to ask is go back to the success coach, you called it, Jess. How many people do you success coach, for want of a better word, at a time?
So look, we have a success coach team set up for each faculty. And then that is split in between postgrad and undergrad as well. Yep. So for instance, Andrea Gonzalez is one of our success coaches in the postgrad space, who is actually Kylie and Linda's. And Andrea and I have a fantastic relationship, and she will actually coach any ladies that come through BWA. She's just the perfect fit for it. She very much reminds me of Jessica Schubert as well. So I think that's even more of a really good fit. She's really, really passionate about this space, really passionate about women in leadership, and just goes above and beyond within her job every single day to make sure that all of our students, not just our BWA students, are very well looked after. Look, in terms of a number of how many each success coach has, it really, really varies depending on the faculty. It can be quite a large number, or it can be a much smaller number. Look, it's up to the student on how often they want to use that coach. So it's really student driven. We will give you all of the tools and we will tell you who the right people are. And then it does become up to you to reach out to that coach. So some students we find might only need one check-in a trimester, or others will do
heavy users.
Oh yeah, and that's totally, it's not a user, it's just utilize it if you've got that option.
And that's the context
go for it. Like, that's what they're there for. Some people just prefer to sit there and sort of ride their own carriage and go off on their own. So yeah, it really does depend, but they are all industry driven again. So going back to that industry piece. So for example, again, business, they'll all have a business background. Then we go into our design faculty, and again, they're all from that design industry. And we actually even break it down even further. So who has a really strong marketing background? Who has a strong event management background or leadership? Where does that really break down to make sure, again, you're being coached by someone who understands what you're going through, understands, you know, what your goals are and how to really drive that as well.
Cool, thank you.
Kathryn, may I suggest maybe for Jess Pankiw and you to have a quick phone call in the next few days and just talk through the options that you have, especially when it comes to, you know, the business space and postgrad. I know Linda, you know, studies part-time, Kylie probably a little bit more, but if, you know, because I just know how flexible they are, but there's also more options than just an MBA, and maybe tailor something to give you all that information so you can make a more informed decision. Would that be a good next step for you, Kathryn? Yeah,
look, it would be, and it very, very much would be, because I think an MBA was something I've looked at probably over the last 4 or 5 years, and in retrospect, it would have just never happened. It just, you know, it just wasn't going to fit in. So I wasn't probably looking at that when I had a look at some of the online courses, but, you know, look, that would be really good, Jess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll try to tee up a time tomorrow afternoon, perhaps. How are you placed tomorrow?
Yeah, I can definitely do tomorrow. So I'll reach out to you via email after this and just flick you across a couple of times. But I did just really want to really quickly want to touch on that point, because I think it's a really important one. A lot of people look at a full MBA and exactly like yourself, just think, how am I going to fit 12 subjects in and how am I going to get through this? What is a really good option for someone like yourself thinking that same thing is what Linda's doing in a really great way. So we do offer the graduate certificate of business administration. So that's 4 units. And those 4 units carry over to your MBA. So then you can go in, you can complete another 4 units and have a graduate diploma, and then do your final 4 and have your full MBA. So it staggers it out for you. You know that I'm only committing to 4 right now. And if that's all I can commit to, that's okay. You still have a postgraduate qualification under your belt. You still have all of those skills that you're going to get. It's just a matter of continuing it on, and we can make that decision 4 subjects later. And again, I'll be here to coach you through it again. So let's have a look. Let's see, how much time do you have over the next, you know, 18 months or 12 months, and how are you going to fit this in? How are we going to make sure this is fitting within your schedule? And that's what I go through with every single student as well, is start by explaining how much time you need to commit just to doing one subject a trimester. Let's start with that and see if you have that time to allocate. And then I'll recommend how many subjects you should be taking on, how long that will then take you to finish, and we'll come up with a whole plan.
That sounds really excellent. That would help make an informed decision about whether to press that forward. No, look, that sounds great. Appreciate that.
Perfect.
But well, no, I probably don't have any more questions beyond that. Yeah.
That's all right. Let's have a one-on-one. And I think for anyone who's watching the recording as well, would absolutely love to have a one-on-one chat with you. I think it always gets so much more out of that as well. By, like Jess Schubert said, is me being able to sit here and actually tailor a plan for you. So I've got your details now, Kathryn. I'll shoot you through an email after we jump off this Zoom with a couple of times, and then let's chat tomorrow and we'll just really work through all the options that are available for you.
Sounds fantastic. Appreciate that.
Yes, you already have an email in your inbox.
Yes, I saw that.
Kathryn's details. And for everyone who's here in the chat, you obviously don't need it, but you can all see on the screen Jessica's email address. So whoever watches the recording but will send out as well, just get in contact with Jessica, Jessica S and Jessica P. So get in contact with Jessica P and really have a conversation about the options. I know that so many applicants and people who are interested to enroll benefited from that one-on-one coaching, even before the process started, to know what would be the right course, what would be the right time, what would be the right setup. I had no idea this was also flexible. I'm just gobsmacked how, it's almost like a tailored solution. So it's really, really good. And I know the other two can vouch for that as well. Amazing. Well, thank you very much. Kathryn, anything else around maybe the application or the scholarship process? Or
no, I had a look online. I can see what needs to be done. So it really, I do think it's probably have that discussion with you, Jess, make a call, yes or no, and then put it to bed one way or the other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Hey, look, appreciate your time tonight, folks.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming along.
Okay, good as gold.
Okay.
Before we shut off, and whenever you need to go, I just want for everyone who watches the recording, just talk very quickly about BWA, but feel free to leave. I know it's very late. So for everyone who watches the recording, Business Women Australia is Australia's leading women in business collective. We're a little bit different from some of the other event companies in this space, you see, because we empower our members and our community. As a basic member, and especially as a premium member, we inspire and encourage for women to put their best foot forward, use and attend all of the events that are put out by BWA members. So our membership fee is not spent on some high-ranking, celebrity speakers. All of our speakers, workshop facilitators, coaches, everything that happens is facilitated by the community, and that's what makes the purpose just so deep and the connection so deep. That's how we can be vulnerable, and that's how we can also support each other to be the best version of ourselves. So it's a national collective, and you can see us in Perth, in South Australia, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and the Sunshine Coast. We've got members everywhere and a very large community of women who come to us as well. So as a successful applicant of the scholarship, you will become a BWA member, classic member, and there's the opportunity to also upgrade to a premium member. If you have any questions about BWA, get in contact with me. You all have my email address already. This is it from us. Jess, Kylie, Linda, thank you so much. Is there anything you would like to add or anything you'd like to note before we sign off?
No, all good for me.
I just think for anyone who's watching this, like, it is really daunting and scary, but just do it. Like, just dive in. Life's short. You only have one opportunity, and just go for it. I was petrified, Kathryn, but I was like, it's my time, and I don't have any regrets, but I am slightly crazy and just I mean, Jess knows that. Just thinking is no, but crazy in a good way, in the sense that I think when opportunities present themselves, you should definitely just grab them by the horns and just absolutely dive in. And life learning is something that I think everyone should really inspire to.
Absolutely. I was just going to echo that and say, don't be afraid and go for it. It's a huge opportunity. They don't come around very often either, to go for such a huge scholarship. And don't be afraid to just reach out to me, even if you're not sure. Like yourself, Kathryn, amazing that you came along. You're still not quite there. That's okay. For anyone watching who just wants to have a chat and you really don't know if this is an option for you, then that's okay as well. I'm always, it's an open book, it's an open line, always happy to just chat.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries.
Well, thanks very much, ladies. It's not as late in Perth, but it's very late everywhere else. So we are going to sign off, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. And I can't wait to see lots of applications. Thank you very much, and good night.
Lovely. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Thanks, ladies.